So, I gave you a little bit of background. Flexpansion is the word prediction app, flexible text expansion, which I've been working on for quite a few years, moving it forward in very slow leaps. And then 2C, also known as Nautilus Beam for reasons too boring to go into, is so 2C is the new wearable app that we're working on. My background's linguistics, phonetics, natural language processing at Lancaster University and Leeds University, and then Edinburgh PhD. I focused on how you could help people with motor disabilities to communicate. So, sort of classic poster person is Stephen Hawking, where you have the big logjam in the communication process outwardly from him is the immense effort and the slowness of every bit of information that comes out of him. So I thought, if you can take a really abbreviated input and intelligently expand it using a bunch of natural language processing techniques, that's going to be useful to quite a few people with motor disabilities. Then phones came along. So that's the branding on Flexpansion. Phones came along and I could see the wider application of what I'd done, and on tablets. Turns out that people do abbreviate in a predictable fashion, which means you can re-expand it intelligently. So we're getting sort of 50, 60, 70% keystroke savings in the thing that I published in the PhD. Then I was thinking, how would you enter information on the screen? It's so much smaller. I could see that these are going to be gigantic, but I could also see there are a bunch of situations where you will want to enter information on this, but you won't want to speak into it. So maybe it's a password, there's disturbance to other people, there's confidentiality, and it's just also just looking a bit silly trying to chat into these things. And you also currently require a network connection to Google speech recognition, which isn't great. It's not that reliable, and it doesn't currently model a speaker, which is bonkers. So it takes each bit of speech you send to the speech recognition system separately. It doesn't take into context everything that you've done previously on it, which would be such an opportunity to model the individual. So these are going to become standalone. I mean, they're not all, they don't all have SIMs in, but they will. And as validation that people are going to want to enter text in these, there's already been 100,000 downloads of a browser for smartwatches. So people are going to try, and people are doing searches presumably. I don't know. That's one of the things that we're going to do market research on, is what people are actually using that for. So the current solutions for entering text, people try and cram a keyboard. People are still in the mindset from the larger devices, and they try and cram an entire keyboard into something that's not much bigger than your finger. So you've got no fine control. Your fingertips obscuring it. You can't really do the pop-ups that you can with a normal phone. And there's just a massive disambiguation problem computationally, and these devices aren't that clever yet. So this is Minuum. It's a clever solution. I understand why they've done it, but it's a single line on the bottom of a tiny screen. So there's a massive, even bigger disambiguation because you've got no vertical information. So, and then this is 5 tiles, which is quite, again, it's sort of just on the bottom of the screen. There's quite a large cognitive load on the user because you've got to memorize what all these different shortcuts do. You sort of hold one of them and go right a couple of blocks, or you go up a couple of blocks. So you're trying to remember all of that and type this message, and it can't be the best way of doing things. And then there's another way of doing it, which is tap and zoom, which is that's another product. So you're going to have to hit sort of several taps to get any key, and you've got quite a small footprint that you're trying to hit. So I was sort of thinking, what's the best way to get around this? And it occurred to me, you've got to use the whole screen for every letter, and paired with the abbreviation expansion, if it's done well, that's got to be the best way you can possibly do it. So we've patented this we put the submission anyway about 2 weeks ago, so we haven't been able to talk to people. So part of the issue we've faced is not being able to say, what do you think of this? Because anybody that we didn't have a confidentiality arrangement with, we couldn't show. So some people have already thought of using the whole screen. That's similar. That's Microsoft's solution. It's similar to Graffiti, but not quite, which was from the Palm Pilot days. I love the fact that this says easy. I can't remember the name of this, and maybe I'm being unfair to it, but it's sort of, again, it follows a path, a bit like swipe through the various letters, but it sort of clusters them together. And again, there's a bit of a cognitive load on a user. And then the nearest to what we have is this circular arrangement somebody else came up with. But again, on the left-hand side, that's sort of still pretty complicated. So that's the nearest to what we've got. So we showed what we had to people. People liked it. We weren't sure what to do next. Some people said, forget it, go and get a proper job, which they've been saying to me for years, and they're probably right. Went to an event in Dundee, which was designed to bring together designers, businessy people, and techies. And we came up with a pitch, and we won £30,000 to commercialise this.
Woohoo.
So this is the actual app. So our solution, first off, everything's in a circle, which gets around the fact that half of these are circular. And I think they look a lot nicer, the circular devices too. So you hold down, and then this was a kind of revelation for me. You project a fan of letters across the screen. That gives you the fine control because it's a few degrees of movement, quite a large arc of your fingertip only moves 1 or 2 letters, so it gives you that fine control. Your fingertip's no longer obscuring it because it's the other side of the screen. It also looks quite pretty. We kind of have a rainbow effect on there as well. So you're going for S, you wanted T, so you just move slightly, you get the T. And then you've got the abbreviation expansion in there as well, so TS gives you this. We're also going to do a zoom on the actual selection process. So, and then a lot of the time it gives you the next word correctly, and then again, it's a cooked example. People always use cooked examples, but FNT gets you the entire word fantastic. And so far, we recruited a couple of co-founders at the beta out. We've raised another 5,000 for more languages. We've got a patent submitted. Design rights and trademarks are in the pipeline. Trying to get hold of a load of money to grow fast because we've got other products in the pipeline as well. We branded it 2C. Again, I can tell you over a drink why.
It means touch in
Esperanto.
Language.
Who thinks that's a good thing? Who thinks they would like the fact it means touch in Esperanto is a good thing rather than who thinks it's a good thing?
Not just drop the Esperanto bit.
Should we not mention?
Just
who
say
thinks
it
we
means
should
touch
mention
in a language.
I'll ask afterwards. Anyway, and we've got some funding from Scottish Edge Wildcard. It's a nice name. And you think that's all we should say?
Round of applause. Thank you.